So hello again, everybody. How are you doing, Nish?
Oh, good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, good. We're good. And we are joined by Mike. How are you doing, Mike?
I'm really good, thank you. Really good.
Nice. What did you get up to yesterday?
I had a fair bit of online tuition yesterday, so I spent most of the day actually tutoring online.
Nice. And I suppose one of those things as well, isn't it? Anyone watching Streaming School here, is there any way that potentially, can people potentially contact you for things like that after this?
Oh, of course they can. Yeah. So if you head over to the Instagram page, I'm followed by Drake, so it's not hard to spot me. Ultimate Learning. Head over to YouTube, Ultimate Learning, Google, Ultimate Learning. You know where to find me. Nice. Pretty easy.
Yeah.
Ultimate Learning everywhere, basically.
I'll just ask my mate Drake and see if he can put me in the right direction.
That's my claim to fame.
I once had. Do you remember Iggy Azalea?
Yeah.
So once I was on Twitter, like during exam season or whatever, and obviously I was trying to highlight that people can go do some revision on my site. And I noticed that she sent a post where the grammar was absolutely horrendous. So I basically messaged her to say, look, if you need a hand with your grammar, come and find me. And and she retweeted with something which was like, "Who is this guy? Who is this?
Who is this guy?
Who is this guy trying to tell me?"
I can top trumps that, Mike, because Drake follows me on Insta and DM'd me, so I'll take that to the grave.
Nice, mate. Nice. Again, from the bottom, now we're here. All that sort of stuff.
Exactly.
All right. So, I mean, obviously, if wordsmiths such as Drake are paying attention to what you have to say, everyone else should be making sure they pay attention. I believe it's something to do with plant defense. Is that right?
That is it. That is exactly it.
All right. Well, no one needs to hear me talk nonsense any longer. Mike, I will share your screen now with the world. And hopefully, Drake, if you're there, give me a shout, mate. I'm happy to be. I'm happy to be a hype guy. I'm happy to be the hype guy.
Might need one soon.
All right, Mike. Thank you very much. Looking forward to it.
Okay, so guys, this lesson today is all about plant disease and defense. So we've spent a fair amount of time looking at human disease. We didn't really touch on the plant disease, so it's only right after we looked at the different organs within a plant that we now look at some of the disease and their defense methods against disease and insects. So the first one that I really want to touch on is called TMV. TMV stands for tobacco mosaic virus. And as the name suggests, it is caused by the virus pathogen. And what happens typically, if you look at a leaf, you'll notice that a leaf is green like this. But a plant that kind of suffers from TMV would typically have these yellow patches around the leaf like this, and they form like a mosaic pattern. Now, these patches here are areas of the leaf where there is no chlorophyll. Okay, the chlorophyll has been destroyed. And again, as we've learned in previous lessons, that it's the chlorophyll that absorbs sunlight. So if this leaf has got a lack of chlorophyll, then the leaf isn't going to be able to absorb as much sunlight as possible. Now, The problem with not absorbing sunlight is that then the plant that is suffering from TMV will have a lack of photosynthesis. You know, that plant will not be able to photosynthesize as well as a plant that doesn't have TMV. And this can lead to all sorts of problems. You know, typically it can lead to, you know, a poor growth or a stunted growth. There won't be as much storage as starch. And, you know, this plant typically won't be able to build proteins from amino acids. So, you know, TMV is quite a big problem. Gardeners can try and identify, you know, TMV. You know, they tend to use like gardeners' manuals. They can use websites, or you can even send the leaf off to a lab for testing. So if you're a serious gardener, you may want to send the leaf off and get it tested, just to confirm that it's TMV. Another plant disease is called rose black spot. And again, if we look at a leaf, my leaves are just getting better and better now. If we look at this leaf and again color this in green, the key thing, and I'm sure many people may have identified this before, but you can always spot a plant that has rose black spot because over the leaves you will find these black spots, just like this, all over the leaf. Now, rose black spot is caused by a fungus. It's a fungal disease which affects plants. And, you know, the symptoms of rose black spot are going to be very similar to TMV, because where these black spots are, again, you've got a lack of chlorophyll. The chlorophyll's been destroyed. Again, you're going to have this lack of photosynthesis, which means, you know, a stunted growth, typically seen from plants that suffer from rose black spot. So they're the two plant diseases that you need to know about in your exam: TMV and rose black spot. Now, there are also some deficiencies. I'm going to tie this in. And it's specifically for the students who are doing the higher tier paper. But they will need to know about the mineral ion deficiency. I wasn't going to touch on this with it being just specific to the higher paper, but you know, it's still good information to apply. So there are two key ions that a plant needs. A plant needs I've just said mineral ions. A plant needs nitrate ions, okay? And a plant also needs magnesium ions, okay? And we're going to see why these two ions, I'll just put in brackets the symbol for those ions. We're going to see why a plant needs these ions, because they play a key role in their growth and development. So nitrate ions serve the purpose of providing the plant with nitrates, okay? A plant needs nitrates in order to make proteins. Okay, and a plant would need those proteins for growth. So I'm going to draw two plants. I'm going to draw two plants and see if you can predict which plant has had the lack of nitrate ions. I'm really pleased that I'm able to just whip these pictures out so quick. But take a look at these pictures and just have a guess. Is it plant A or is it plant B? Which one has had the lack of nitrate ions? And hopefully you have spotted it is plant B. Notice how the plant has not fully grown. It has this kind of stunted growth. And that kind of indicates to us that this plant has had a lack of nitrate ions, which means it wasn't able to make protein. And you know, this is typical of how they could portray a question to you guys in your exam. You know, show you a picture of some plants and ask you to predict which one has had the lack of nitrates. Now, magnesium ions, and I need to rush a little bit now. Magnesium ions, these are important because magnesium ions help to produce chlorophyll. Okay, magnesium is one of the key ions in the production of chlorophyll, and you know, without magnesium ions, a plant cannot produce chlorophyll. And if it can't produce chlorophyll, then it can't absorb sunlight and it's unable to photosynthesize. So these two ions are detrimental to the growth and the development of the plant itself. So I am going to finish now. I didn't think I would, but I'm going to finish on the defense systems for a plant. You know, plants need to defend themselves not only from pathogens, but they also need to protect themselves. So they've got to defend themselves from pathogens, and they've also got to defend themselves from a herbivore. And you know, so the life of a plant is a bit rough. They've got these two organisms that they need to protect themselves from. And a plant can use many different types of defense. For example, plants have a physical barrier. Okay, and you should know some of the physical barriers that, for a plant. So, for example, the first physical barrier is thick bark. Okay, bark is the cells that we tend to see falling off big trees. You tend to see trees covered in bark, and it's an external layer of dead cells. And it's this thick bark that can kind of protect the plant from pathogens. You know, pathogens are unable to get through this thick bark. Plants also have cellulose in their cell wall. Again, the cellulose is there to protect the plant from pathogens. Again, the leaves of a plant are covered with a waxy cuticle. And you'll remember from our last lesson that I was labeling all the different parts of the leaf. And one of those layers was the waxy cuticle. Well, the reason why it's important, again, the waxy layer protects the plant from pathogens entering. And the final physical barrier are thorns. You know, if you look at a rose, you'll see those hardened those hardened parts of the cells on the exterior here. Well, these thorns are to stop herbivores, protect the plant from herbivores actually, eating them. So you've got to, and you should know all of the physical barriers. Okay, we've just covered all physical barriers, and we're going to go on to chemical barriers. And once again, my timing is going to be immaculate. I'm going to finish on time. So in terms of chemical, I won't say barriers actually, I'll use the word chemical defense. Much better word. So chemical defense. Many plants produce toxic chemicals. Okay, those toxic chemicals, they defend them from animals and insects, and they also actually stop bacteria and fungi from attacking. You'll also see that some plants have what we call trichomes, and this is a key word, trichomes here. This term trichomes, all it means is a stinging cell. So like nettles, they inject these irritating chemicals into herbivore skin, and it's that protects the plant from being eaten or from other animals consuming the plant. So we've looked at some of the physical barriers, and we've looked at some of the chemical defenses, and you guys should be able to explain how the plant can use these different techniques to protect them from both pathogens and herbivores. All right, back to the studio, guys.
Thanks, Mike. Really appreciate it. And really interesting. And again, it's a bit like we were talking with Sam earlier. Just the amount of content. Obviously, it's always a challenge to deal with the topic in such a time, isn't it?
It is. It's just judging how deep do I go.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was. That's pretty much everything they need to know, Mike, for plant disease and defense.
Amazing. Yeah, that's amazing stuff. And I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. And much on this afternoon or this weekend? What are you going to do? Chill out at home? Is that the plan?
No, there's no chill out in my category, Mike. I will be content creating shortly.
Very nice. Yeah, very nice.
YouTube time.
That's it, man. That's it. Thank you. I really appreciate
nice
it.
One. All right.
Thank you. Nish, do you mind letting everyone know what they can be doing now?
Yeah, cool. I should be presenting.
You are indeed. And I should be making sure everyone can see that. There you go.
So, there are 2 questions today for science. Number 1, how can you tell if a plant has had a lack of nitrate ions? And number 2, how could you tell if a plant has had a lack of magnesium ions? So you can catch up on any of the sessions you have missed on Facebook and on YouTube, and these questions and any resources will be on there as well.
Fantastic. Amazing. Thank you. And our next session, Nish, what can we look forward to?
Another science session. It's a chemistry session.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much. And we'll speak to you all soon.